Hey, good morning, folks. I am your host, BKP, and Friday morning, right? If I'm at Circuit World, it's Friday morning here in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Come visit, right? We want to invite you. Blue Ridge, Georgia, straight up 515 out of Atlanta. Hey, we have a lot going on today. We have Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley, and I did see Dr. Raymond Tidman come in. So we have our doctor questions of the week, and we also will have our COVID update from the two doctors. Then we have the All-Star Political Panel. Now, everybody is back. It's going to be a full panel. Joanne is back, Rick is back, and Bruce. So we have the All-Star Political Panel. Now, are you wondering what's going on? What is this whole GameStop stock trading? What's going on here? Well, I tell you what, I'm not going to try to explain that because one, I have to just be honest. I thoroughly don't understand everything's happening, but I know some people on the panel have been keeping up with it. So we're going to discuss that. What's going on Wall Street with GameStop and the stock trades. Also, then we will have our Pet of the Week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. We're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Okay, so before we get to the Ask the Doc, I think if you Google this, you will find President Donald J. Trump, President Barack Hussein Obama, President George H. Bush, President Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter. I think you find what we call a handful. I don't know that you can go and look up at least the last 4 or 5 former presidents and find double digits executive orders in 1 week. What are we up to in the Biden administration? 37 executive orders? Now, let me ask you this, because I want you to just stop and think, okay? When you have 5 presidents, we'll just go with 5, that did not, in their first week, sign no more than 5, 7, if tops, but did not go into double digits, then what was going on so bad in your life? Stop and think. A month ago, put yourself 1 month ago, what was happening that was so bad in your life, in your day-to-day in America, that needed 37 executive orders to correct something for you? So let me ask you a question. Maybe something did. But what did one of those executive orders correct for you, America, an American out there? What did one of those orders correct for you in your daily life? For me, price of gas is going up. Well, can you connect that to executive orders? All I know is, the energy sector and the Green New Deal and the climate czar and the Paris Climate Accord and ending the Keystone Pipeline, and the list goes on and on and on, may be affecting the gas price that you and I are paying. Thousands of jobs are gone just like that. All right? Insulin. All right? One of the executive orders deals with, remember, President Donald J. Trump pushed the price of insulin down? So I just want to know, I just really want to ask you, in the total scope of 37 executive orders, what exactly was going on in your life that one of those executive orders corrected and made your day-to-day life as an American better? Just saying, wondering, okay? We will ask the All-Star Political Panel about that. Today is January 29th, 2021. You know what that means? It means it's the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C. How many will be there this year for the March for Life in Washington, D.C.? More than the inauguration for Joe Biden? Interesting, right? Would you have ever thought that you would be asking to bring your troops home, right? I know as Americans, when we send our troops abroad and we decide to go in to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever it is around the world, we start talking about bring our troops home. Is it necessary to send our young men and women all the way around the world? But would you ever think that you would be saying, bring our troops home from Washington, D.C.? Wow, list goes on. So we have a lot to talk about the All-Star Political Panel when they come up. But right after these messages, we're going to have Ask the Doc. You know, they really want to get rid of Congresswoman from the 14th District of Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then you always then can talk about the impeachment soap opera, right, of President Donald J. Trump. Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley when we return. Then we have the All-Star Political Panel and our Pet of the Week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. We're at Circuit World here today. Emily, let's take a quick break.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
8 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days Gets It Done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done. Days Chevrolet, Days Gets It Done. Find new roads.
Hey, we're back, folks. I'm your host, BKP, and it is now time for Ask the Doc. And we always want to open up and thank Northside Hospital, North Georgia Cancer Research Center, right here in Blue Ridge, affiliated with Northside Hospital. We appreciate them for bringing this great weekly update, Ask the Doc, with Dr. William Whaley. I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know the guy here?
I got to introduce.
I want to see if you know
got
this
to
guy.
introduce my guest. My guest today is Dr. Ray Tidman, who is the founder of the Riverstone Medical Complex and the senior physician in this county, and from time to time joins me here on the couch. You see, and I'm learning that he puts my people used to accuse me that if you ask Dr. Whaley what time it is, he tells you how to build a watch. And after I've told you how to build a watch, Ray tells you what time it is. So,
and I'm
that's
right twice a day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but out of all that, what I picked up, you're the senior guy.
Yeah, right.
Senior guy in the
All
area.
right, now
I don't know how to take that.
There's two things you got to tell them. One of them is we don't need a truck because it's partly cloudy.
Yes.
Second is we're up to date on rain. Third is schools are open in this county, and we don't have a snow day. And that's for everybody in the country.
That's a pretty good update.
Yeah, and for everybody in the
No snow day.
and it's cold out there, and the weather's bad.
Schools are open.
People come to school. People come to school is what I'm trying to say.
The rain table is we're good.
Exactly right.
A
Yeah.
little overcast. Don't need a truck.
That don't need a truck. And I don't want to. The politics of this business about going to school and the politics about the vaccines got nothing to do with cancer or blood, and we may come into that a little bit later. But you want me to go to the questions?
Yes.
All right.
We have two questions this morning.
All right,
What do we have?
this first question, I know where it came from because we talked about IV iron blood transfusions about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It says, my wife had a gastric bypass 3 years ago and lost 200 pounds that cured her high blood pressure and her diabetes. She is 56 years old. That tells me she's after menopause, okay? And since the operation has had 2 ER visits that needed blood transfusions. And now she is being seen by a hematologist who is giving her IV iron. Well, we do that in office every day. Dr. Tidman sends us some of those patients. Her GI doctor did a colonoscopy and a stomach scope and found no bleeding site, but they all say she is losing blood from her GI system. What is going on, and what should she do? One more thing. Did the surgeon do something wrong? Well, at the end of the day, this is a pretty common question. And so I strongly believe in bariatric surgery for certain people, and one of my family members has had it. And I see all of the complications of it. But Ray is an expert in diabetes, high blood pressure. He does research on high blood pressure medicines and diabetes medicine. So who would you send, Ray, to get any kind of bariatric surgery, not necessarily a bypass?
It's a good question and a common question. Weight loss is probably one of the most common things that we deal with in primary care. Weight loss is a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country, and almost all of it's hooey. It's just nonsense. I basically talk to my patients that it's physics. You've got to burn more calories than you eat. Now, however you're going to figure that out, whether it's surgery or discipline or exercise or
training for a marathon.
Training for a marathon. It's physics. It comes down to that. So back to your question about who do I recommend surgery to. There are three common forms of surgery. There's the sleeve surgery, the lap band, and the bypass surgery, gastric bypass. They all have different
techniques. All right, well, put that first slide up because I was getting ready to show it because that shows you the three. Put it up and everybody look at it for a few minutes and we'll pull it down. Go ahead.
So the lap band is actually, they're doing more surgery taking them out now than they're actually putting them in. The bottom line with the surgery is if you decide to go that way, you have struggled and and worked at this and probably failed at almost everything else. So it's a last choice.
Right. And you've had a psychiatrist see you.
And when you do decide to go, you will spend time with a psychiatrist.
Right. That's the rule.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about this surgery is, it used to be, you don't, if you get a facelift or an augmentation on your breast, it comes out of your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be, if you did bariatric surgery, it came out of your pocket. Mm-hmm. Medicare now pays for bariatric surgery, Medicaid now pays for bariatric surgery, and Medicaid doesn't pay for a lot. So that has to tell you that the cost-benefit ratio of doing a bariatric surgical procedure, even with all these complications I'm going to talk about in a minute, saves the government money when you consider diabetic complications, hypertensive complications, heart attack, and stroke.
And skeletal problems.
Yeah. So anyway, basically, so let's go. Well, go ahead. So Ray's got the idea that it's a last resort for people who have had decades of fighting. I just can't do it. I've been to the nutritionist and I've done everything. I did Nutrisystems. I bought the meals at the thing.
I might add one other thing.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Because I try to get people get into low self-esteem around this. It becomes a cosmetic thing, and certainly that is a big effect. But it is, as Bill's alluding to, there are secondary diseases from this. And one of the things I try to get patients to visualize is what are they doing to their body in a real visual way. And almost everyone in the country has at some point been in a gym. And they've seen the 50-pound weights that some people put on a rack and start lifting up. So if you think about some guy carrying 50 pounds extra or 100 pounds extra.
Or 200 pounds extra.
Or 200 pounds extra. Think about trying to hold that weight all day long and you cannot put it down.
You know, I hear you have this bag.
Yes.
And I hear, wait a minute, I hear stories that if somebody may visit you, mm-hmm. you may just quietly roll over, open a little thing while you're talking, get this bag and hand it to them.
And ask them how much it weighs.
Yeah, I've heard stories.
It's a bag of sand.
I do not know this.
Yeah.
I do not know this, but I've heard stories.
Well, I mean, think about the mechanics of it. I want a patient to feel that mechanics.
You want somebody to, hey, feel this.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a pregnant lady, you're going to have back pain because you're carrying this weight out here for months. If you're a heavy guy with what I call Dunlap disease, that's when your belly Dunlapped over your belt buckle. If you've got Dunlap disease, then you're carrying that weight every day for years, and you are torquing your back, and you are going to have back pain.
And hip pain, knee pain.
And hip pain, and knees wear out, and all that kind of stuff.
I don't want to take the personal shots, but I learned really quick not to look at this guy and say, hey, doc, my feet hurt and my back hurt. I made a mistake.
All right, let's get on. All right, go to the next one here.
I know the answer you gave me.
Let's go to the next one. Possible complications. All right, just look at this quickly here. Short-term and long-term hospitalization, reoperations, infection, bleeding, or leaking at the suture or stabilize. That's the top one on here. That really is probably what's going on with this patient, is that just small amounts of iron are going out in the blood from the various suture lines. Now you can have intestinal rotations and vitamin mineral deficiencies and all sorts of stuff, and you can die. Of course, you can die from the dentist, right? All right, take that down. Now we're going to get into iron deficiency anemia, because that's what this patient has and has been transfused in the emergency room several times. That's $3,000 or $4,000 a crack when they get blood transfusions. So most of the reasons that you get blood transfusions, that you get iron deficiency, is you've got to have loss of blood on a chronic and continuing basis, or dietary inadequacy. Well, you just can't hardly have a dietary inadequacy in the United States, because the bread in the supermarket and everything else is fortified with iron. So the most common thing, if Emily was having iron deficiency, it would be probably due to menstrual cycles and stuff like that, or pregnancies. But when a male has iron deficiency and he hadn't been shot or stabbed, he hadn't had a surgical procedure, he is bleeding from his GI tract. And the question was written in such a way as that we know that this woman is old enough to not be having menstrual blood loss. So the fact that her doctors have said this has to be coming from the GI tract is the truth. And the fact that they look in the upper abdomen and they look in the colon is absolutely mandatory. Now, you're younger than Ray, but there used to be on the market triple 666 or 777 tonic, and these iron-containing tonics that they used to sell on the radio and the television said if you are fatigued, take triple S tonic it was, I guess. Well,
I think the tonic was the important thing.
Tonic was the important thing, but the tonic contained iron. And the death rate from colorectal cancer and gastric and esophageal cancer in this country was high because people who were fatigued because they were iron deficient, instead of going to their doctor and getting evaluated, were taking the triple S tonic, keeping their blood count up until the cancer was too far along to be cured. So they were removed from the market because of self-medication to get you, when you're fatigued, to go to the doctor. Well, this lady went to the doctor, didn't she? All right, so she has to, you got that thing off the screen now? So she has to be losing blood somewhere. You don't, and most frequently when we do this, you're looking for colon cancer or stomach cancer. You're looking for polyps that might bleed, or hiatal hernia or gastric. They're bleeding somewhere. So if the stomach's okay and the colon's okay, then you've got to the point where the rest of all these things have been sewed together. And you only, I use this analogy, you have to lose this much blood every day for your stool to have a positive stool blood test, but you only have to use this much blood every day to be iron deficient. In other words, there's a large gap between how much blood can be in the bowels every day and how much it takes to be detected from the stool blood test. And by taking iron, and if you take 10 iron tablets a day, you can only absorb 18 milligrams of elemental iron per day, regardless of how much you take. And that's why generally today you do not replace iron in iron deficient patients with oral iron. You do so with IV iron. Go to the next one.
You just can't catch up.
You just can't catch up. So here's this. I always like to show how fancy the algorithm is, and this is exactly where that patient told me, Ray makes sense out of this. So this is the fancy algorithm, right? And so this says, if you have a blood count below 15, that's really very close to normal, and your iron is less than 100, or your saturation is less than 20, then IV iron is the best way to replace it. And if you just have a little bit of extra menstrual blood loss or something and you don't get to those numbers, then taking an iron pill can keep you from getting to this point. So basically the question is, what's this all about? It's all about she's still losing blood from her stomach. Second, giving her IV iron is much cheaper than blood transfusions, and it doesn't allow her to get that sick again. And did the surgeon do something wrong? And the answer is absolutely not. 30% of patients who have this gastric surgery will have iron deficiency from chronic, very low intensity blood loss. There.
Let's put a primary care angle on this.
Well, that's what I wanted you to do.
So, you know, one of the things we talk about there, you get screened for cancer because a lot of the cancers you can't know they're there until it's too late or later than it should be. You can't feel colon cancer until it's out of the bag. So you get your screening colon cancer test. You can feel anemic. You can feel tired, exhausted. Interestingly, something Bill taught me was you're actually robbing your muscles of their iron before you're robbing your red blood cells of their iron. So by the time you're getting significantly anemic, you've already pulled a lot of iron out of your muscles, and your muscles need that iron to move oxygen in and out of those cells. So patients that are starting to get anemic can feel exhausted. Common things we talk about, colon cancer, but even more common is a bleeding ulcer. Patients running around with just burning in their stomach, and they're putting up with it, and they're chewing Tums, and they're doing all kinds of things, and they're having a steady long-term blood loss. Patients that present to the office with severe anemia, which is always amazing, like you talked about this patient, their hemoglobin's around 8. You pull their eyelid down and it's pale. It looks pale. Their lips look pale.
Remember how your grandmama used to look at your palm and tell you, stick your tongue out? Stick your tongue out, boy. Let me see what it looks like.
So, I mean, there are visual clues that a doctor can look at. Just coming in the office, they're going to say, this person's anemic, and we've got to do a massive workup. These all come back to us being humans and our bodies being able to repair themselves. Well, as we get a little bit older, that repair is not good enough, and that's where you go to get your medical care.
Anyway, go see the doctor when you get tired. All right, next question. This is kind of a complicated question with a short answer, I think. My wife had an operation on a nodule on her scalp that was diagnosed as a sarcoma, and the doctor did a huge operation to get it all. He did lots of scans and said it was okay to watch. I Googled sarcoma, and it scared me to death. What should we do? This is a question that sometimes I tell people to keep off the internet. Show that first one. So if you go and Google sarcoma, the first thing that pops up is going to say sarcoma of soft tissues. Pop up that next picture that shows them. And this scalp, you got the scalp lesion there? This lesion on the scalp that really looks ugly there is a poorly differentiated skin sarcoma that's not a joke. It's got 40% recurrence rates. But that sarcoma that he's talking about, scalp nodule sarcoma, you go to what you find when you Google. This is so rare that you can't Google it. All right? It is such a small percentage of sarcomas that when you Google it, you come up with this. Now, you remember one of the kidney kids had his leg taken off when he was 12? That's osteogenic sarcoma. We had, I forgot who somebody recently had a brain sarcoma. Every one of these has got real terrible survival rates if you don't do really great surgery. And this has got that guy just scared to death. So
rare as hen's teeth.
Well, in all my practice of 50 years, I've seen 2. All right, so show that next thing here.
So, are you talking about the last 50 years or the first 50 years?
Yeah, right. So in 50 years of practice, I've seen 2.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So I always like to show one of these. And put that up there. You see that survival, there's 2 little survival curves there. Or you take that back down. Those survival curves represent what this doctor did. He did a huge operation to get it all. That's the top line. So he went back and he made sure he had 2 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters is an inch, so 2 centimeters is darn close to an inch, of clean tissue all around it. And he went all the way down to the bone at the bottom, and he made sure that those margins were totally clear. And if there was any question, then they went back and they radiated the scalp. Then they'd end up like Ray, because you can't grow any more hair. But if you do those 2 things, then your survival rates are like that. 80% survival rates forever. If the guy didn't go back and get it all, or he didn't radiate it if the margins were clear, it's 40% survival out at 10 or 15 years. So that doctor has done the right thing. There ain't nothing else to do. You shouldn't be scared. And yes, you're going to need to go back from time to time to be evaluated again by more scans and just make sure it doesn't come back locally. So don't panic because it's a sarcoma, and don't let that internet fool you. Now, that's going to get me into the news of the day, okay? And it's going to get me into COVID vaccine. Have you looked at the news in the last 2 or 3 days?
Yes.
Okay. Germany approved one of our vaccines that we are using in this country for people under the age of 65. And we are giving it to people over the age of 65. Second, big thing in the news today. What's the name of that vaccine anyway? Novavax vaccine is not effective against the South African variant. We just got through saying last week, I showed you why our vaccines are good against the new variant things that are coming. Third one was that the World Health Organization and the CDC have opposite advice about immunizing pregnant women. World Health Organization says no. American scientists say talk to your doctor about it and make your own decision, but there are no theoretical reasons not to immunize pregnant women because this is a dead virus. And we immunize pregnant women with flu and everything else all the time. So what I'm trying to say here is that let me get you to look at this one. There are right this minute 90 something, what's the number? There are 67 vaccines in clinical trial. You look at that?
Yes.
2 are approved for use, and that's our Moderna and our Pfizer.
Yeah.
4 have been abandoned. 8 of them are in limited worldwide use and been approved first one place and then another. Okay? So you have 67 vaccines out there that are undergoing clinical trials, and 2 have concluded those clinical trials. So the news is making like Germany's saying this vaccine's not any good. What Germany said was, we've had it done in 30,000 people or 15,000 people in Germany, and we're not through analyzing the data yet. That's number one. So it's not that the vaccine's not effective. Somebody's seizing on the fact that they're still in the evaluation phase and are emphasizing something that hasn't been concluded yet. We've already said we haven't tested this vaccine in people under the age of 18. Is it 18 or 21?
18,
anyway,
yeah.
18 or 21. Well, they're testing it in the pregnant women, but they haven't finished. So you can't say with 40,000 pregnant women have gotten the vaccine, but nothing adverse has occurred in the ones that are getting it experimentally, and we give vaccines exactly like this all day, every day to pregnant women, and there's not any reason not to. So the fact that the World Health Organization isn't happy with it yet, and our scientists are, the news is making like it's a tragedy. So it's just, to me, like going back to school and the vaccine. And the COVID virus. I got a kid that's in the Catholic school, going to full-time school, wrestling and playing football, and the state of California says when we open up, we're not going to allow them to wrestle. I'm crying tonight. Anyway, that whole thing about the vaccine, I think the press is making people uncomfortable by seizing on little pieces of information that are true, but they don't mean anything, and blowing it all out of proportion. Now, can you make some sense out of what I just said?
Let me put a different angle on that.
Please.
But I first want to make the point, or keep emphasizing the point of these economic shutdowns. The people who are forcing these economic shutdowns around the country still, or around the world, are dancing with stupid. Okay, that's all I need to say. Frequently in medicine, or in any field of analysis, you try to look at things from different angles. And Bill has given you the vaccine biopharmaceutical top-down look. We do research, we test, and we roll it out once we have enough established safety factors and efficacy factors. So that's the top-down view, and that's what you get in the news, because the pharmaceutical companies are looking at it from that angle. If you look at it from a different angle, and that is that there's a lot of fear out there in the public, whatever reason, however it got seeded, it's out there. So if I look at it from that angle, I try to talk to my patients, because that's their point of view, in 2 different lines. There's 2 extremes. There's the at-risk patients, what we've called through this broadcast all along the fine china. over 65, more than 2 comorbid problems, the target's on your back. Okay? You're still going to survive this, but you're in the high risk. Then there's the under 20. Really doesn't affect them, affects them less than flu. Okay? So that age group does not need this vaccine right now. It's unproven. And they don't get sick from it. So from their point of view, why should I take something that we don't really know enough about and expose myself to any risk? You see what I'm saying? Any risk. Whereas you look at the risk benefit in that older age group, the benefit of the vaccine far exceeds the risk. The risk has been studied, and you're going to benefit more from that vaccine, and you really should consider getting it. And then between those two groups, you have those that really, well, first of all of those people need to make up their own mind. They don't need to have somebody else tell them what to do. So they make up their own mind, decide what they're going to do. But all those people in the middle, it really is a questioning yourself thing. If you've got multiple comorbid problems, if you're diabetic, hypertensive, overweight, inactive, recently ill.
45% of our country is overweight.
Yeah. So if you're in that group, then you have to judge for yourself. Well, I'm hearing it's pretty safe, and I've got some risk factors, and probably ain't going to hurt me, so maybe I should get the vaccine. Maybe not. But that's the group that's in question, not the extremes. So that's really where I try to focus on my folks. My older folks come in, and I'm like, yeah, get in line. Call every place around here. Get your name on the list when they call you. Yeah, when they call you, go in there and get it. Which whoever calls you first, get it done. But all those people in the middle, I really just say, no, pay attention, listen to what you're hearing out there. If you got the risk factors, as soon as it's available to you, I would consider getting it. I've had the vaccine, and I'm
Point
fine.
is, Ray, it's not going to be available to them for a long time. And we are getting more and more information that there is no group that shouldn't take the vaccine because it is not a live virus. It's only an RNA, and there is no medical contraindication or potential contraindication. The stuff about affecting your DNA or affecting your reproduction, all that is all much of BS. So what do you call them, the conspiracy theorists and all the reasons why they shouldn't be touching it, there's no fact or even close to fact behind it. What Ray was talking about the fine china and the comorbid conditions. Now, I'm going to just focus on this county. And I reviewed all the county deaths that have occurred in this county, and there have been a bunch of them. And I've picked the patients that are over 90 years of age. So of the last 6 in this county that were over 90 years of age, did they have comorbid conditions? Well, relative, of course. 2 of them had no linked comorbid conditions. The other ones had 2 to 6 comorbid conditions. So even in the people that are over age 90 that are dying, it's mostly over age 90 with something else. Well, I mean, I've got high blood pressure and atrial fibrillation and everything else, so I've got technically comorbid conditions, I guess. But in today's newspaper, it says that the New York deaths in the nursing homes were underestimated by 40%.
Yes.
And I believe that to be true. This is killing people in nursing homes. Now, we all know somebody local who wasn't in a nursing home. 2 of my patients have died of COVID virus that didn't have a bunch of comorbid conditions except they were over 80 years old. But the point, once again, is it's a real serious disease in this group of people. Now, we know people in this county that we know well that are 50 that have almost died from it, but that's the smallest number. And there really is no reason for anybody that's 65 or over not to go get the vaccine. And we have bone marrow transplant patients, chemotherapy patients, all of our patients, we want that vaccine regardless of whether they're getting immunotherapy, chemotherapy, bone marrow transplant, everything else.
And age. I mean, those people, if they, you want them
as early
vaccinated.
as they can get it. Now, what we tell them is, you're not going to respond to this vaccine as well as somebody else because you're actively on chemotherapy or whatever, but you will respond to it. And that degree of response will protect you to some degree, not 95%. But we want you to get that vaccine immediately.
One other risk factor, it always falls out of my mind, and I'm glad you said that, Bill. We don't have a lot of it here, but you have a lot of it in urban areas. People living in tight, packed living conditions. Well, a nursing home's obvious. Assisted living's obvious. Those people are close together. If you're in an immigrant community and you've got 2 or 3 families living in the same house, you're pretty packed in. You got an elderly person in that house, they're really, that's as high risk as diabetics and obesity.
Or maybe worse.
And probably worse, because you're really spreading that virus in that house. And so that's another thing to keep in mind, is that if you're in a fairly tight living condition. One other thing about that middle class of people is, even if you're fairly healthy and you're a caretaker to a very elderly person, you're in and out of their house, mom and dad or a neighbor that you check on all the time.
Or you work with them.
Or like my staff, or young staff, they're around COVID patients regularly, or elderly patients. I ask them to get vaccinated early. Same thing if you've got one of those folks that you're the caretaker for, I'll go out of my way to figure out how to get you the vaccine. We can ask that people younger than 65 get the vaccine for indication.
So if you're working somewhere, because I have one question, because we have our panel ready to go over here, but I have one question. But if you're working somewhere and you're not in the health factor, risk factor, age area that you should be getting the vaccine, but when you go home in the evening, mom moved in with you. Dad died a couple years ago. Mom moved in with you, and you're taking care of mom. You should tell somebody that, because you're out in the day, you're working, stopping at the store, whatever. You should try to get that vaccine, because you're going home wherever you're at, and you're taking it in where mom's at. You should try to tell people that that's important.
Your engineers are young.
Yes.
And they work around people with risk factors.
I get it.
So your engineers that are with you hours of every day and up close, and the people in your office that are around you every day should be vaccinated.
Got it.
And that is, now, when Ray's talking about people that are 30 years old and they work on construction sites with 30 years old, and they live in a house with 30 years old and some young kids, maybe they don't need it. But just about everybody out there,
they should be the last in line.
Yeah, but just about everybody out there is face to face with people that are older on a day-to-day basis. I want to, before we, expert panel don't have anything to say today. There's nothing going on in politics. The news of the week, I already hit several of them about the vaccine, but you hear it, always hear it here first. Vitamin D may help fight COVID-19. When did I say that first on this program? April. Come on now, that's 9 months ago, and you heard it here first.
Leading edge.
Now that
vitamin
guy,
D?
Vitamin D.
I'm a vitamin D kind of guy.
That guy that told you, that you hear it here first. You got the COVID, you got the Zika here first.
Okay, so here's the question. I've got to ask this.
All right.
Okay, have to ask it. So the media out there, because there's always something going on throughout the week that I keep up with what the media is telling viewers throughout the week.
We've tried to beat them over the head today, haven't we?
Right. So we had Thanksgiving, and the health officials came out and the media came out that we should not be having these Thanksgiving super spreader events. And then after Thanksgiving, they claimed that we went up because we had to get together and travel get together.
Christmas.
Then we had Christmas, and they're blaming super spreader. Now, this week in the media, they're giving their Super Bowl party advice. So would you guys like to get in on Super Bowl party advice?
Yeah, why don't they just shut up?
Well, did you notice that
Could you elaborate on
that? Can we elaborate on that? I mean, you need to go about our lives. We've got a vaccine out there. We're now vaccinating people faster than they're being put in hospitals. Okay, so we're ahead of the game. Do all the things that we've talked about doing, but go back to life. Go back and be a normal human.
All right, Ray, read the headline of the first one in the news. What did it say?
COVID-19 cases fell 34% in the last 2 weeks.
34%.
Loud.
U.S. COVID-19 cases fell 34% in the last 2 weeks.
All right, now, Super Bowl party. the Tampa mayor last night signed an executive order that outdoors in Tampa
That said it's Tom Brady's last one?
between now
Oh, okay.
between now and 9 days after the Super Bowl, everybody on that 3-mile walk, river walk there, and in any public place in Tampa must wear a mask. So that's aimed at 22,000 people who are going to be there instead of 400,000 like usually come to a Super Bowl. And it's the government telling people outdoors like this, beautiful sunshine in Florida, that you've got to wear a mask if you're out of doors. Now, if you're out of doors in a place with 50 people, wear the mask. But that means some guy that's out there on that river walk jogging, which I've done many times, would have to wear a mask.
Yeah, you don't need to be wearing a mask jogging. Sorry.
No. Anyway, it drives me crazy.
Stay alive, go outside. Okay,
Yeah.
I got one other important thing.
We
before
got to close.
go.
I got the panel. Go
Okay,
ahead.
well,
One
it's
more.
just my teaching point. How do you know when you've reached middle age?
Okay, how do you know? I feel like, how do you know when you've reached middle
Well,
age?
when you finally get your head together and your body starts falling apart.
Hey, folks, we're gonna wrap this because I feel like we could go on and on.
All right, my closing comment
Oh, he has
is
a closing.
get the vaccine and donate blood.
Get the vaccine, donate blood, make your doctor's appointment. Your health care, very important. Don't let anything happen. Make your doctor's appointment. BKP here. Thank you very much, North Georgia Cancer Research Center. Thank you, Northside Hospital, for this, affiliated with Northside Hospital, this segment every week. If you have a question for Dr. Whaley, send that to info, I-N-F-O, at fetchernews.com. You can send that, put Ask the Doc. You can find our social media, ask Dr. Whaley a question. If you want to share these segments with family and friend, go to fyntv.com. That's that simple. At the top, you'll see Ask the Doc. You click on there. All of the segments are there. Or our YouTube channel, Fetcher News, FYNTV, Ask the Doc. Thank you, Dr. Tidman.
You haven't been kicked off YouTube for the rest of your life?
Not yet. We're monitoring that daily.
We do know somebody that was.
Do you?
Yes. President Trump.
Yes, President Trump. All-star political panel, as I always say. Wonder if they have something to talk about as soon as we return.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Find new roads.
Circuit World has complete queen bedroom packages at amazing prices. Get this queen bed, dresser and mirror, 1 nightstand, bedding set, and free 32-inch TV, all for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this complete queen bedroom set and sleep in style, also for only $1799.99 or $129.99 a month. What an incredible deal! Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
New year, new Chevy. Let's get it done at Days Chevrolet in Jasper with huge savings on the Chevy trucks you want, like $8,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or save over $7,500 off a new Chevy Equinox. Every Chevy truck and SUV discounted big. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Find new roads.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey folks, we're back and we're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge, and I'm your host BKP, and it's time for the All-Star Political Panel. It seems like forever ago, if that's, can we say that? Forever. A long time, but we have Bruce, Rick, and Joeen. The band is back together. So
Yeah.
now I remember. Okay, so we are the All-Star Political Panel. You know, I asked a question when I opened today, and I'm going to start this out. What has happened? What can you name one of the, I guess we're up to 37 executive orders.
I can name that executive order in 2 notes.
Can you name one executive order that was necessary for your daily life, that last month you were not able to make it through without Joe Biden coming in and signing one of those executive orders?
Hell no.
No.
Not a one.
But I don't know if that's fair to ask. We're pretty much responsible citizens that didn't rely on the government for
the government.
Help. So when
No, Joey, hey, the guys are sitting there. I can't help it. You knocked it out of the park. I can't understand you understood. I can't help you understood the question and they couldn't go with it. Hey, guys, that's just the way it is. No, you have opened it up. You guys, responsible citizens, and the 37 executive orders. I think going on Google and looking, we don't have a president in the last 5. We'll just go with 5 past presidents that have done double digits in 1 week, even
Combined.
Yeah.
Right?
Combined.
Yeah.
And
let's take a different. Let me take a little different tack at it. We can all acknowledge that this senile old man did not sit and conjure up 40 of these. Who really is running the show? That's really I'd like to know who is behind the curtain, pulling the cord.
Susan Rice.
Now I will say,
that's a thought, but
but I will say this,
amongst others.
I will
go ahead.
Valerie Jarrett.
You got your money.
I got Valerie Jarrett. I got Valerie Jarrett right up there. I think it's a consortium of a bunch of people. I think it's a team.
Well,
that
I have said that we at the inauguration we installed a presidential team to run the country.
Who cares what Biden is doing? I want to know who is running the show. Biden is nothing but a figurehead in an empty suit.
But I will tell you this. You know, there's a such thing as buyer's remorse, but I will say this. You're not alone. A lot of people are saying, whoa, wait a minute. Who's doing all this? What was so bad? And I don't mean just us. What was so bad that we had to have this? So I agree with you. Who is writing these? Who put them all together and had them ready?
And why they really took a big risk. Some of these right at the beginning that have made people open their eyes and wonder with the buyer's remorse. When they canceled the Keystone Pipeline and when they canceled all the leases that are drilling on federal lands, first of all, there were contracts involved. With the Keystone Pipeline, Canada wanted to sell to China. We worked really hard to get the deal with Canada that their oil would come to us. Okay, they're our neighbor that secured a lot of oil, which would keep us independent. We just screwed Canada right through the head. Okay, they are so angry now because we not only cost 10,000 or 11,000 jobs in the United States instantly, no warning or whatever, just bam, everybody's fired. But there were many more people employed on the Canadian side, and they all lost their jobs. And so we already had a border problem with them not opening the borders. That's why we can't get lumber, we can't get milk, we can't get a lot of the things that were coming across the border. Now we shut down the pipeline with no notice when we had a valid contract. And bam, just do that. And then to end all those leases on the federal lands, again, we didn't say within a year we're going to do it so people could find a job or something. No, just shut it down. Everybody's unemployed in this time when so many people are unemployed. I mean, who does that?
Let me ask a question. I read it a little bit differently. Granted, the Keystone Pipeline is temporarily shut down. The contracts weren't voided. The transportation method by which we get the oil is what we're talking about. Is that not correct?
Yeah, but you got a facility that's like 2/3 or 3/4 finished. You got all this pipe in the ground, you got pumping stations, you got
Understood.
telemetry.
Understood, but we're still going to get the oil. It just takes rail cars to do it.
Yeah, it's going to switch off a pipe to rail.
Yeah. So we're still going to get the
BNSF.
oil. It's not going to it's not going to be directed to China. We still have the contracts in place to get the oil. It's just how we get it.
I think less will come to us by rail, and some will be diverted to the west coast of Canada.
I think
to go to China.
Exactly.
I think I have to tell you this: we have gotten to where we're governing. We're governing by executive order, and
Exactly.
and we're not governing by,
by three branches.
And I will say, it doesn't matter if Donald J. Trump's in there. It doesn't matter George W. Bush. It doesn't matter who's sitting behind that desk. I've always been concerned on the use of the executive order. I've never been, there's times when I feel it's appropriate and needed, but I've always been concerned on why are we legislating that way. I think Washington, D.C., Congress itself is now a TV show. It's not a legislative body. They're in place doing committees and they do daily shows is what they do. So
It's an effort to direct people's attention away from what's really happening.
Exactly.
But also, the whole thing is to force people to have to buy electric cars. Gasoline is going to go to $3 and $3.50 a gallon at a time when we have people that have to drive so far to get a job now because they lost their jobs with the pandemic. And they're trying to get day work. They have to drive to a big city to try to get a little bit of work. Now you're going to put that, they're going to spend it all on gasoline. Why did it have to be instant? We don't have enough. I mean, the electric car business is what, 1%, 2%? Of all of the cars produced. I realize that Ford and General Motors have now said that they're going to really vamp up. They've got their cars ready to go and they're going to produce a lot more. But you can't, when you live out in the rest of the country, all through the Midwest, the hinterlands, the major part of this country, you can't use an electric car. You can't get far enough. It's 100 miles between towns out there in Kansas and whatever. I mean, you can't stop in those cornfields and plug in your car. I mean, nobody thought through how this works. What was so urgent to do it first day?
I was wondering how you felt about that.
The ends justify the means.
I'll tell you how I really feel.
Yeah, anybody got another quarter? All right. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Exactly. All right. Okay. Let's go on to something else. What in the last couple of weeks? What else is in the news, Rick?
I don't understand when the shoe was on the other foot and Trump would sign an executive order. Next thing you know, they found a liberal judge that would cut it off.
Thank you.
Where is the damn GOP?
Thank you.
Well,
boom, Rick's got one out of the park.
Where
All right,
in the
way
world
to
is
go.
the damn GOP?
Well, they did get one on immigration.
We had one
in Texas.
Yeah,
In
in Texas. And now you got Liz Cheney squawking because she's scrambling to maintain her position.
Her ass.
Yeah, exactly. She's scrambling to try to reverse
Let's
the...
get back to squawking. I love to Liz Cheney. No, you're 100% right, because I'm thinking the other day, all of these 37, immediately, Trump used that Sharpie, and Trump didn't get to the end of the P in Trump. He didn't bring the Sharpie off the paper to where liberal activists were in the courts immediately shutting that down, shutting everything down. Where is that? I agree with you. Where's
the other side?
Right.
And look how long it took him to stop the Muslims from coming over here from countries that keep producing.
But
all
see,
the
they didn't
terrorists.
even understand what the
undid
imposition
that
was.
in one little swipe of the pen.
Yeah.
Travels back from all the Muslim countries where all the terrorists come in from. Just opened up the borders, they get to fly in. But when we tried to shut it down, it was in court for over a year.
Keep in mind, Joanne, that the problem is that it's not being accurately reported.
Exactly.
What he did when he put the Muslim ban on, it wasn't every country.
Right, it wasn't.
It was the ones that were breeding terrorism.
Right.
And
only the godless Muslim.
Yes.
Did you come back to the show to add something? We have to stop for a minute.
Yeah.
Are you over there thinking up jokes?
I'm thinking of things.
He's got a lot of time to make.
I mean, I know you've got a lot. You've been writing material.
There wasn't my delirium.
Yeah, they haven't been reported properly. He's undone what Trump, managed to do.
It gets back to Republicans. Republicans are nicer people. Democrats are just, alley fighters.
Wait a minute. That's like one of these things that they've done with this new H.R. 1 that they haven't really focused on.
Right.
Okay. See, before H.R. 1...
Federalizing elections.
Right.
And taking them over.
The only people that were coming in and pretending that they hadn't voted, that they had the right to vote, cramming the voting boxes and whatever, were all Democrats. Because Republicans can't say, I haven't voted and I'm voting again. And they can't say, I really do live here. But when you open it up and you don't have to prove anything, you don't have to give a fake address, you don't have to do anything, the Republicans now can send 100,000 people to just vote because you don't have to show any ID or anything else. And so it might hurt them the other way. They haven't thought about it. We won't lie, but we can play the game. Well, if I have to say I live at an address I don't live at, I can't do that. But if I just go in there and vote again, I just might.
Yeah, I mean, it raises all kinds of issues for the midterms. I mean, in terms of how this country votes going forward. I mean, it really is going through a revolutionary period, in my opinion.
And we installed in all these other countries where we've gone in with our troops that lost their lives to give them the right for democracy, the right to vote, and fair vote, because the dictators controlled it, just like what's happening here now in the U.S., and they had to prove who they were and whether they put the ink so they couldn't vote twice. They had to ink their finger. We're now, all we wanted was you had to show ID and prove you live here and sign your name. And they won't even let that happen now. I mean, you have to have the right to vote. Okay,
and there have to be controls on that right.
You need to show you have the right to vote. And I mean, green card holders don't have the right to vote. You have to be a citizen. Okay, so not only illegal aliens, which is we're not allowed to say anymore, but it's bad enough that they're let to vote, but even green card holders do not have the right to vote. They're saying the only felons don't have the right, but green card holders do not have the right to vote.
Okay, so in you got H.R. 1 is what you're talking about, H.R. 1, where they're trying to federalize elections, but what about, let's switch gears a little bit if you believe my interest is within 2 weeks they've been able to get the FBI, NSA, they've been able to get everybody on the same page working together, okay? And they released a statement. Their concern is domestic terrorism. And domestic terrorism going through our stuff to see what we're writing and what we're saying. And we're considered disinformation this morning.
But I'll tell you
the hell you say.
You brought up something about the news and something not being reported. If you really think about it, we haven't had accurate news reporting. I have no idea how far back, but if you just go back the last 10 years, and especially the last 4 years, they'd never reported hardly anything that President Trump did. All right, he did so many things that might have been mentioned in 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10-second blurb, 4 in the morning or 11 midnight at night or something. So the country never knew what he did. But they're also not reporting on Biden either. They're not explaining what he just did. They're just saying, they might mention that he did an executive order, but it's sort of like how they write the referendums when you're going to go vote, and it's a tax that's going to cost you a fortune. It says, do you want to support, the poor animals that are mistreated or something and that have no home?
Let me ask you a more philosophical question. Do you think we have ever been told the correct news? Ever? Let's go back to Edward R. Murrow.
News, yeah, but the news is shaped. We have to understand that it's
That's what I'm
always a
saying.
convenient narrative by the people.
That's what I'm saying. What sells?
Yeah.
If it leads, if it bleeds, it leads. What's going to sell? What can we sensationalize? Have we really ever been told exactly what's going on?
Well, I think they used to report the news, but they would spin it such a way that, it's like those teasers, come back after or on the 6 o'clock news, they'd tell you at 11, we're going to tell you this.
Brian does that at 9:30.
I know.
Come back. We're going to close this show, and you will not want to miss it.
I hate that.
And then he leaves early. I don't understand that sometimes.
Hey, let's change the subject. I tell you what, we're getting into some really good stuff, but I would like. Hey, you! I can hear.
I knew that was coming.
All right, I don't understand this to the point of explaining it. I'm serious. So I've been waiting for you guys to get in. Explain. You got some explaining
Lucy, you got some explaining to
do. Explain to the people out there what's happening in the stock market with the GameStop.
Just happen to have that note, huh?
Well,
stock market. Okay. Well, have at it.
Manipulation.
People are wondering what's taking place in the last couple days here with this GameStop and stock market and day
AMC
traders
and whatever.
and the Robinhood.
On January
Robinhood app.
On January 12th, GameStop was selling for $19.32, and that was up from a few days earlier.
GameStop
on
January 12th.
Right. So
keeping in mind, GameStop is nothing but a has-been.
Right. It's a store that sells mostly used video games.
Right.
And so if you've got a used game that you're tired of playing, they have new games too. So they want you to bring in your used one. They'll give you $5 for it, and you buy one for $49 or whatever. And then those of us that, can go in there then, and that $5 one now I can buy for $20 because my kid hadn't played that, okay? And it was doing pretty well because people were buying a lot more games being quarantined at home. You let your kid, after they do their homework, you can go in there and play video games, okay? But GameStop was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Right.
And so it was about to go out of business, and they had started closing some stores and whatever. And if pandemic hadn't happened, it would already be out of business. Okay, 2 weeks ago, they have this chat room now, the Reddit and Robinhood and whatever, and they saw how many people had shorted it because it had gone up from like 12 to 19 over a period of time.
You got to explain what shorted means.
Okay, so when you short a stock, you borrow stock.
You don't own it.
Right, you don't own it. So I'm going to borrow stock from someone else that owns it, okay?
And you pay a small fee for that.
And I pay a fee for that, right.
And there's people that are willing to give you those shares at that price.
Yes, because
they want out.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm agreeing to pay the $19.31 to you for those shares.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
But I'm betting that it's going to go down to 10. So to give you back your 200 shares, I can buy them now at $10 a share.
And you're making the margin.
I'm just going to give him 200 shares back. I don't have to pay him the value at the 19. I just owe him 200 shares. So I'm betting I can buy them cheaper. Well, they realized how many people had shorted this, that we're going to have to buy stock and cover. And so it was driving this stock up because people get scared. When you buy a stock at 19, the most you can lose is $19. Okay? If it goes to nothing, you've lost $19 a share.
In order to buy it, you got to have a seller. If there's no seller, the price goes up until you find a seller. That's how the price goes up.
But when you short a stock, and so you've got to give him 200 shares back, it could go to 1,000. You could be, I mean, it's unlimited on the upside. So shorting's a very dangerous thing. So, okay.
Risky.
They started on this chat room. They realized there were 2 hedge funds that had heavily shorted this because it had gone up so much. You can see how much is shorted. And so they were talking among themselves, and these young kids or whatever that use their stimulus check to buy, 100 shares and 200 shares. So they all started buying the stock. And so it was driving it up to $30 and $50. Well, these people that had shorted it back at 19, I still got to buy 200 or 1,000 shares.
Can I just throw something in? One important point to understand is that when you short a stock, it doesn't go on into perpetuity. You have an expiration date. You buy a contract, basically, and there's an expiration date. So the hedge
you have
fund,
to execute that.
The hedge
by
funds,
such and such a date.
Right.
Yeah, the hedge funds were looking at this date coming up,
Right.
and they said, "Oh my God, we got to cover," and it was going to cost them a bloody fortune to cover. Correct?
Mm-hmm. And when you borrow stock, if it gets out of kilter here and you don't have that much in your account to cover it, you get a margin call. And so the broker is saying you got to cover this
Start
or
writing
put
checks.
more money in. So if you don't want to cover it, you still think it's going to drop. Okay, it's gone up some, but it's still going to crash. All right. So then you put more of your you went and put your mortgage payment in to cover it, and that's what people do, and their car payment, because this is going to tank. I mean, GameStop isn't worth that. In fact, now its net worth is however many 100 billion or some ridiculous number.
Some ridiculous number.
Plus,
on paper.
They've sold 130% of the stock. So they've sold.
They're in an
30%.
oversold position.
Yes. So they've sold because when you borrow stock, you can now loan it to someone else. So they've borrowed more shares than even exist. And so, but
The real story is that the
GameStop's at 344 from the 19.
Yeah.
Okay? And so people are they've caused 2 hedge funds would have had to have sold everything in their hedge fund. Okay, all their other stock. That's what drove the market down to 700 points the other day. They're selling everything to get the money to cover their short position. The only reason those 2 hedge funds haven't gone out of business is other hedge funds loaned them money to stay in business, and so the whole market is upside down. And there's 2 other stocks, AMC and something else they did.
Bed Bath and
too.
Beyond.
Yes, Bed Bath and Beyond.
Another loser.
And so it's the fact that they can do this, that there aren't the controls to keep people from. First of all, you shouldn't be able to borrow more stock than exists out there.
Well, it's a capitalist system in a way at work. I mean, and
someone's
All
calling
right,
to tell you
so
to slow down.
let's All right, but here's what I want to do, because we got other things.
The real story is, just real quickly.
Yeah, I want to just bring that around.
Yeah,
and
the real
circle
story
that.
behind this whole thing is now the hedge funds are crying the blues, and they're looking for special treatment from the
Right.
feds.
protection.
Yeah, they're looking for protection.
These are
You know, the
billionaires.
little guys never got protection in the past.
Yeah.
They got slaughtered just like
Right.
the pigs. But the bears and the bulls, you know, they're looking for protection now. So we'll see what happens with that. As of right now, the White House is kind of ducking it. You know, now that they've figured out that Yellen
Don't worry,
took almost.
Pocahontas is on it. She'll take care of it.
Yeah, did you? Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. I just want to make a statement. You don't hear this very often from me.
Drum roll.
Ready? I am actually glad I don't understand all that. I will take that and go with it. I am so glad that I don't understand it 100%.
That's what
okay?
Keith said last night
What? What did Keith?
when I tried to explain.
He said he
things.
is happy. He just didn't understand
Yes,
it.
it didn't
Move
want,
on.
It didn't want to understand.
I
it.
get it.
Give me a piece of wood.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
going to
deal
go out
with
and
it.
wet sand another piece of art.
I'm with him.
Right, I'm going to go make something valuable. The heck with
That's
it,
right. That actually has, intrinsic
Substance.
value. Yeah, tangible value.
I'm not a day trader, so we can go with that.
You know, we touched before on the GOP. Do you really think we've got a 2-party system anymore?
No.
Thank you.
I don't think we have any system.
I really don't think we have a two-party system anymore.
I think we're adrift.
Well,
That's
exactly.
kind of a good way to say it.
Because the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that I don't see how we're any different than communist China now.
Nope.
That we have how they can shut down one half of the country, that we can't communicate. I mean, they took away Parler, they took away, 80,000 people on Twitter. Anybody that objects to the government, that's exactly what they do in China. And we're letting them do that. And what happened to freedom of speech? I mean, just because I disagree with something that President Biden or that Kamala Harris has done or whatever, I should be able to say that. I mean, so now
it's all become hate speech. It's all become sensitive
They've
speech.
Labeled it something.
I mean, how do you get out of that box? I mean, once you get in it, you're screwed.
But we're talking about the method by which we communicate, which to me is not the issue. The issue is who is colluding to put pressure on all of these companies to do that. These companies are still private companies at the end of the day, and I know it's a lousy argument because every time someone tries to make that with me, I hate it. Okay, we're not going to take Section 230 away, which makes them, liable for discrimination.
I think it gets back to
who's colluding to do that.
Well, more like what Brian's business is. I mean, there are conduits of information in this country. Be they internet streaming, be they radio, be they whatever. And those conduits are basically being just crushed out of existence.
Well, I'm very concerned for a multitude of reasons, because I believe strongly, and I believe there's proof. I mean, in the last couple months, and I don't want to get down trails that we don't have time to do, but we have been manipulated in trying to change our thoughts on what evidence is. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, just use the word evidence, okay? Evidence is big in court, okay? You have a crime, you solve a crime, you bring evidence into the courtroom, okay? But we picked something and we altered what the belief of evidence is, okay? And we have not been allowed ourselves and millions of Americans to say we feel there was evidence. So you take that. Second, election fraud. I believe very strongly that we've had election fraud, as Rand Paul brought up in an interview last week with George Stephanopoulos. Okay,
widespread enough to go to court with it.
Well, that's but widespread enough. I like that. It had to be a certain amount before we should take interest in it, right? Okay, really, but. As last week, and not going so far back, but Rand Paul was on with George Stephanopoulos. I remember, I'll call it the old days even for me. I remember when on the Sunday show, your moderator would bring in the subject. And he would bring in, all right, today joining me is Democrat from so-and-so and Republican from so-and-so. And, hey, both of you, a lot of people have talked about election fraud. And you let the Democrat yell there's no such thing. And you let the Republican yell there is. But now that's been replaced with that moderator. And Rand Paul said that.
It happened in the debates.
Right. He said, it's been replaced with, Rand Paul said that. So saying that, what I'm getting at is
two sides.
Rand Paul said, hey, in Wisconsin, we have absentee ballots with no address. That's a fact. We're not making that up. We had apps. Generally, those would have been thrown out. Pennsylvania, they allowed absentee ballots to come in X amount of days after. All right. In Georgia, we had a unconstitutional agreement with our Secretary of State with the Democrat Party. He named these things, but we're not allowed to voice that, because there's a group out there that says that we're spreading disinformation. We've bought into a lie. We don't understand the evidence, and it's very scary right now, the shutdown and what they're doing.
It's because they can say it's a lie. That makes it a lie. They don't have to prove that it's a lie, and none of these states were ever allowed to present any evidence. But to me, the most important one, and I know we're not supposed to say the Dominion system, but in Antrim, Michigan, I sent you that thing the other day.
Yes, I read that.
Okay, this is the clearest cut example that the machines are fraudulent, and that is in Antrim, Michigan, which is 80% Republican, that the votes came in at the end of the day. The next morning when they showed the votes, it was 74% for Biden, okay? And somebody went to the registrar, the voter register's office, and where they were tallying the votes and certifying, saying, this can't be possible, look at this. And so then they looked at how the votes were recorded, and people who clearly that were standing there voted for Trump, it showed they voted for Biden. And then they realized that every Trump vote went to Biden and every Biden vote went to Trump. And that's been certified, it's been proved. They claim it was human error. How can, and if it is human error, then that meant a human could mess with the machine. There should have been no way.
Wait a minute. I'm not cutting you off because everything you're saying I agree with, but everything you said out there, our government now says is disinformation. That's where we're getting at. That's the scary point. Is you're not even supposed to be able to have that conversation, and you're not supposed to bring that up.
You're not supposed to know about it. However, my brother happens to live in Antrim County, Michigan. I talk to him almost every day. They have these big round table things every morning at the breakfast, all during the election, up to the election. I know how the people felt. He kept asking me for signs. I know what was going on. And he was there when he saw what the results were.
I got it.
And so
no, I'm not cutting you off. I'm not cutting you off. I'm not cutting you off. I got it. Okay. Your story is millions across this country, and we're being shut down. Right. I got it. You're right.
Look at Fulton County.
I know Larry. I know your brother. I know Larry. I know of that. Okay. I got it.
And so,
but you understand what I'm saying?
They're burying this. Okay, they're burying it.
But let me say something. Let me go ahead, Rick.
What I really would urge everybody out there that watches the show, I urge you to watch and keep an eye on Maricopa County.
Arizona.
Maricopa County is being watched by all of the 6 states that feel disenfranchised. Maricopa County has taken the lead. Their Senate has taken the lead on imposing a forensic outside audit. Finally, someone is doing a forensic outside audit.
And that's what they did.
What are the
in
odds it
Antrim
gets
County.
suppressed?
It won't get. I'm telling you.
Okay.
You watch it. It is boiling and it is white hot right now. Every legislature in the country is watching what happens in Maricopa County. The Board of Electors has been trying to subvert everything, that all the information, but the Senate has taken it upon itself, just like they've sanctioned that toad widow of McCain's.
Cindy?
Cindy?
Yeah. I mean, they have really stepped up.
You got Liz Cheney squawking.
Yeah.
Now you got the toad widow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, it's white hot. And if they are able to get in and get all of this stuff sorted out, and they're going to look at the machines, they're going to look at 3 different areas. It's going to be a true, final, outside, independent audit.
My concern is the media, and I'll tell you, when you were talking there a minute ago, it was a flashback for me, because I inserted you as another panelist that I watched that tried to talk to Chuck Todd, and Chuck Todd said, I have to stop you there. I cannot let you come on the show. I have to stop you. I can't let you keep going on with that lie that's been debunked. Last week, George Stephanopoulos, I have to stop you there. That's what they're stopping us. The media has me very nervous in this country. If you take a $1 billion, and that they're multi-billion dollars, and you take $1 billion a month, and you keep feeding us information. See, they hated Trump. because Trump could tweet something, and he could say, "This afternoon, I'm going to sign this." And see, they didn't like it because you could know at 1 o'clock, I could know at 1 o'clock. The media didn't get that to be able to filter it,
exactly.
regurgitate it to you. Biden's letting them do that. Okay?
Yeah.
Biden goes into these press conferences, and this is where people really get angry at me. He's got the earpiece in. Okay? They're telling him who is the next question, okay, where his cue card is to read the answer. He's only calling on the journalist that's in the list. They've already said that they're calling certain networks that broadcast misinformation and conspiracy theory, like your Newsmax and OAN and them. They may cut them from the media cycle at the White House.
They won't get picked.
They're asking
Right.
the 5 or 6 that they let ask questions. They're saying, what is it you want to know? So, they're asking them the questions before the press conference, so he's prepared. They've written in the answer to that, and that's the only reason he's willing to take the question. From any of those town halls, did you ever see a town hall, the few that he did, that he didn't go berserk on somebody?
Biden, yes, he couldn't.
Yes,
He couldn't get.
because if you ask him a question,
Look here, Jack.
yes, exactly. And
I get down and do push-ups with you.
Yeah, I can do push-ups with you,
Yeah,
Jack.
and when he told that guy
Dog-faced lying pony
who
soldier.
still came back and said something, he said, "I don't care." He said, "You're too old to vote anyway." And he honestly said that. It's one of the ones in Pennsylvania.
They have him totally in control.
The guy wasn't as old as Biden.
They have him totally in control. They have him in boxes of time because he can only do so much. And I'm going to tell you, he does nothing that you do not. Is it your peripheral vision? He does nothing that you do not see Kamala out of your corner of your eye to the left of him every time. He
The
does
problem
nothing
is-
that Kamala's not standing there.
I don't think, if you look at the Biden of the past, okay, back when they would all meet
Old
at
Joe.
Duke Zebert's, and whatever, and
I
they'd
know
sit
exactly where
there,
you're going. I agree with that.
And he could go across the aisle, he could sit down and negotiate with people, and he could come up with a deal because he was able to feel both sides.
Joe Biden?
Yes, Biden. I don't
came up
know
with a
what
deal?
happened to him, all right, because I was hoping that when he became president, that he had to say all those things when he was running, all right, all this socialist stuff and this and whatever. I was hoping he would stand up and at least for the first 6 months say, "Look, I'm president and I'm not signing that."
Joe, he's a shell of his former self.
Yes, that's what I mean.
The synapses aren't firing in this guy.
Exactly.
All right, he's ruined women's sports. Period.
Oh, my
in
God.
2 weeks. I'm serious.
Yeah.
He's ruined women's sports. He is. What he has done. What he has done
So quickly,
is
without
just
thinking.
Without thinking. That goes without thinking. Joe Biden is not capable of doing
he
this.
ain't doing
anymore.
this.
No, he's not
Yes.
doing
He's
it.
not
He's got
doing
that
this.
stack of executive orders.
All
He doesn't know
he's
what the
doing
hell
is-
he's signing.
What
He's
am I
like-
signing?
Well,
What is this?
It's like
Just
he has
sign
to
it.
He doesn't
explain
even
every
say
word.
that anymore.
It was prepared in advance.
Exactly.
Already in advance by a group that's running this country.
That's right.
And running this country for the Chinese Communist Party.
But
Period.
who would want transgenders or people that say they are really a female when they're a male? Who would want them to be allowed to play in sports? Who
Don't
would
have
really
time for
want
that. And then when I say that,
The
I want to
fair
make
play
sure.
people. The fair play people.
But that's
No,
not
all right.
fair.
Okay.
To them it is.
We continue.
But
we continue to
our-
put
Go ahead.
the minority over the majority.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we've been doing this for years.
Bruce, subject today that it's not winners and losers, but I don't want to leave.
Good.
Subject today that you wanted to talk about, and I want to be able to
That's
get
good.
something.
Subject or wrapping up?
No, not wrapping up. Just a subject. If there's something today that you said, hey, I want to make sure we get.
Okay, yeah. There's been a lot of talk about the coronavirus, and this is a study that a guy has just come out with, basically saying that if you take the number of people who've died from all causes in 2020, around 2.9 million, you get a dramatically lower number of total deaths if you just subtract the the 315,000 COVID people.
That's an old study then, because it's 400 and...
Well, yeah. But the point of the study is, though, it right at the end of January, or in the middle of January, they came up with 268,000 people who just died. And they just threw that in to make the numbers right. So all these COVID deaths have been mislabeled as other things because the total deaths from all causes is at a 6-year low.
I was going to say, I bet you a lot less people have died in 2020
It's
than
true.
normally die.
Yeah.
Mainly because people aren't going anywhere. They're not getting any other issues. There's much less auto accidents. I just got another reduction from State Farm.
So once again, I mean, they're fiddling with the numbers
Yes.
because this is all a psychological operation. It's not.
Believe it or not, strangely you say that there's not as many auto accidents because people are not driving as much this year.
Right.
Body shops are hurting. They are. Body shops are actually struggling because there's not as many accidents.
Really?
Yes.
But I heard
body shops, it's down.
I've heard some of the accidents though were much higher speed because everyone's just like pulling their hair out of their roots, so they get in the car and they just blast down the road.
That
Also,
being
there's
said,
no traffic,
let's
so they
let's
can
do
go
this
faster.
before, because we got to get ready to break. But let's do this on the COVID. New York, in their nursing home reporting, right? Would they not be screaming to charge Trump with murder if Trump's name was on this?
Yeah.
Would Trump be on? Would they be charging Trump? Would they be saying he should be responsible for murders?
Of
and
course.
so-
Well,
right?
they already say that.
Rick,
Nobody instead will write a book. Como, I get an Emmy and I'll write a book instead.
Quick subject that you wanted to make sure.
Let's see. We've covered a lot of stuff that I was talking about before. I'd like to, I was going to use them as a loser, but I've got other losers. Chicago teachers.
Oh my God.
Chicago teachers are nothing but cowards. They're sheep. They're being union manipulated.
New York too.
And these kids are being damaged beyond repair, and they've got to get back and open the schools.
These unions that are running the teachers union, they're nothing but trying to fund
the coffers,
fund their retirement. That's it. They're trying to fund that, and they know their states are in financial mess, and they're trying to say, we'll use your kids when we get enough money.
As a pawn.
When we get enough money, because our states like Illinois, New Jersey, teachers unions, our states are in a financial mess. So when you bail us out, we'll go back to work for your kids.
I got Lori Lightfoot, a.k.a. Beetlejuice, who is a coward as well, and she will not stand up to him.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I'll tell you what, if anybody's listening out there that lives in other states, Georgia is we're kind of blessed with most of our school systems are in session. The kids go to school, but in a lot of states they don't. And if it was happening here, I personally would go out and make a plea for any parents that instead of homeschooling, come in and teach a class. Let's open the schools up. The Board of Education works for us. It's our tax dollars. Instead, in these states, what you've done, studies have proven that just over the summer, how much education, how much mental capacity children lose. They spend the first month just getting kids back into studying. We've now had a year that these kids have been as far as I'm concerned, abused. Exactly.
Abandoned.
And when you think of young children, first, second, third, fourth grade, they no longer are writing anything. You type there, if you're on Zoom, you respond on a computer. Children aren't writing. They're not going to know how to write. They're going to go on to another grade and they never had any writing. They aren't reading out loud. They're reading the stuff that's on the screen, but they don't have to read it out loud. They're not learning to enunciate. We are destroying our children. They also don't have any interaction with other children. And
socialization.
Their parents, I don't know, I couldn't have stayed home with my kids for a year. I know that. And their other parents will probably have the same problem. You just are constantly on them if they aren't doing their studies and aren't doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, it's a horrible situation. And yet we're paying still all of our money to all those teachers that are sitting out there doing nothing.
You watch a whole generation of children that were so vibrantly in a 3D world. Now they're 2D trolls. They sit there and look at a screen. They look at the screen to try to learn. You know, they raise their hand, they don't get called on. I mean, I've watched it firsthand, and it's just a debacle.
And think of the children that were supposed to start school this year or start school next year. New York says they are not sure they're going to start school back in September even. I mean, the parents out there need to rise up. Okay, I'm probably in trouble now, but I mean, they need to go and take
Triggering
back over
language.
their schools. And don't let the union do this. Then fire them like Reagan did. He fired all the traffic controllers. Everybody thought that was the end of air travel. It caused a disruption for 1 week. And take back the schools. If the teachers don't want to come back, fire them and put people in that will.
Winners and losers, make it quick.
Okay, we've already gone by this, but on Wednesday was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. To all the Jews and other minorities that were killed by the Germans, who convinced their own people that they were bad, and also it asks that the family of Catherine Lindley Dodson, this pediatrician who was killed in Austin, Texas. She's the sister of one of the very close friends of my son from Baton Rouge. The parents, the mom is a LSU law professor, the dad's in private law, and this poor gal got caught up with this guy who just got a terminal cancer diagnosis, went into the clinic and, ended up killing her, and she's left 2 girls and a boy and a husband. It's a crying shame.
My loser of the week is Mitt Romney, who stood up in front of a group and said the only way that we can unite is to have every Republican stand up and pronounce that Joe Biden was elected legally. He's my loser of the week. My winner of the week dovetails with what we just talked about in education. Brandon Michon in Loudoun County, Virginia, who went off the rails in front of the school board and said he's not going to stand for it anymore. He said they're a bunch of cowards. My kids need to go to school. And that's being echoed, that sentiment is being echoed across the entire country. So he's my winner of the week.
I don't have anything.
Now you don't have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say.
Wait, let me throw one in there then if you don't have one.
He's taking one of
my
yours.
winner of the All-Star panel is Joe this morning, who has managed to keep Brian at bay, not have him say too much, but we have really dominated the conversation.
Well.
Put that in your funkin' wagon.
Hey, wait a minute. I got another winner. Congratulations on your new format.
Okay.
Coming up starting next week.
What?
The format for Fetcher News, BKP Politics, will go now to 3 hours. First 2 hours will cover national news. We're going to continue on that same stream, but the third hour is going to be dedicated to different states, and we're going to be watching the flyover folks, the people in rural America who have been really disenfranchised.
Maricopa, Arizona?
Yeah, and we're going to be watching all that. Did I say that okay?
No, I actually everything. Rick is. We have talked. Look, folks. Donald J. Trump is down in Mar-a-Lago, and we wish him well. I think he deserves some rest. He worked for this country 7 days a week. He gave his salary back to the American people, did not take a penny. But that does not mean and I think you said, Rush said you ought to read that speech out loud, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It does not mean that we should not be prepared to do what's necessary. And we cannot sit here and say, well, we're going to take everything back in 2022 if our states are not doing what they need to do with election, we'll just call it election integrity, okay? So this past week, a lot of bills dropped here in Georgia. I'm going to study those this weekend. Maricopa County, as Rick said, out in Arizona, Pennsylvania, what's going on in your state, Michigan. So we're going to take that hour and try to go from Georgia, Wisconsin, different states, what's going on, and we're going to try to dig down and stay up on what's happening there. So I appreciate that. We will be going from 8 to 11 Monday through Thursday. We'll still stay with the 8 to 10 here. When we return, our pet of the week, I just got to say, I know we're running just a little late. I keep saying this. When would you have ever thought that you would look at the camera and say, bring our troops home, and it be from our own capital? Still 10,000 troops there. And I want to wish everybody that's traveling to D.C., I sure hope they did not scare you away and deter you. The March for Life, January 29th, today in D.C. And abortion is not health care. Got it? Right after these messages, Pet of the Week from the Humane Society.
Come to my moving sale.
Oh! See, you had...
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountain's lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done. Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done. Find new roads.
Hey folks, we're back. We're using our inside voice because we have our friend here from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, Rena.
You can talk a little louder.
A little louder?
Yeah.
Bring
You can
it
go
up
a little louder, yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't like, she's very afraid, so she doesn't like sudden moves and like if you were to yell
Right.
at her, but you can
So
talk louder.
we are Pet of the Week, Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. And who is our friend here?
This is Trixie.
Hey Trixie. Who the Trixie? Who the puppy?
Trixie's about 2 years old. She's ready to go. She's been spayed. Everything's good. She is a great dog. She is just afraid.
Right.
We don't know her past. That
You
obviously
don't know why exactly.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't the best. She seems to be more afraid of men than women. And so she doesn't like sudden moves, but
Trixie.
she's very forgiving once you do the sudden move and she gets
Look
scared.
what I have.
Look, he has some howies. Look over here.
Look here, Trixie.
Up, up.
Trixie.
There you go. Trixie is very laid back, but she can play a lot. But she's good on a leash. She doesn't pull. She's pulling now because she's nervous, but she doesn't pull on. And she's curious, but she doesn't pull on a leash. She likes to go for walks. She's just nervous.
And how old do you think Trixie
About
is?
2.
About 2.
Yeah. And she did well in the truck. She was nervous. So over here.
Now you just got her at the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, right? You just
Well, she's been with us. She went through the intake, so
Right,
she's been
she's-
with us at least a month.
a month,
Yeah.
right? Right. So
Um,
when you say ready to go, but she just got there, so it's about a month. So when you
Yeah.
get one in, regardless of age, whatever, they go through the intake.
Correct.
So when they're ready to go, that means they've
Been through all of that. They've
the
had their
testing,
shots.
their
Uh-huh.
shots, everything.
Spayed or neutered, yes.
And Trixie's
yes.
ready to go.
And-
So Trixie's a healthy dog.
Oh, yes.
Very
Trixie's
healthy.
yeah.
Just a little timid.
Yes, she's just shy and afraid of people. So but once she gets to know you, and she's good. Now I only work there really one day a week and two nights for a couple of hours, and so she doesn't know me real well. But it doesn't take long, I mean, she knows me well enough. It's once she warms up to you, she's good.
But, a lot of times we don't know a dog's situation, what they come out of.
Right.
We don't know what they come out of, and we don't know what makes them timid or maybe afraid.
Right.
And but if they get settled in, if you give them time to get settled in, these are things dogs can get over.
Oh, of course. Once they feel not threatened at your house
Right.
or comfortable, then she's good to go. I mean, and that's not going to take long with her. It just,
Right.
everything, like, this is new. She hasn't been on an outing yet. I mean, she's gone to the vet, but that doesn't count.
Right.
So this is her first outing, so she's very interested
Trixie.
to get on the couch. So she'll probably sit on furniture with you. I'm sure she'll probably go lay in bed with you. And she can see outside, so that's what she's looking at right
Just
now.
watching
Grab
the
another
traffic
Howie.
come by.
And what I was going to say was, we have her next to our runs. We can put dogs next to each other, and she loves running with some, and some she doesn't like, which is our usual thing.
feel
So
good.
we would have to do a meet and greet with her. But I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with Trixie. She is such a sweetheart and very, as you can tell, very laid back. Of course, yes, she's nervous, but this is her anyway. She will play and have a lot of fun, but for the most part, she's going to be a couch potato with you. She's a great dog. And yet, when you look at her, people are going to be afraid, because she does have that little I can get you look, but she's not mean at all. She's a great dog.
So, folks, Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. You can go on their website. That's where they have all their information, their hours of operation, how to do a meet and greet, how to adopt. Everything there that's required is on their website. Again, Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. Pictures of all of the available dogs and cats. And we do know out there, it took a long time, didn't it, Rena? But I have a cat now, right? Took a long time, though, didn't it?
Yes.
But I have a cat.
But you have a cat.
Yes. I have my Mittens
And
kitten.
we have more if you want to add.
I have a cat. We have not gone plural yet. Don't push.
Yes, we have cats and kittens that are looking for homes. We just had 2 return due to health. So if you're looking for a dog or a cat, as Brian said, Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. You can see all of our cats, kittens, and dogs that are available for adoption. We are still following protocol, so if you can call and set up an appointment to come meet whichever one that you prefer, that you want to look at. And if you're not sure, that's fine too. You just come on out and say, I just don't know if I want a dog or a cat. I want to look. Hey, we don't mind. Come on out and we'll show you around. And good girl. There you go. See, she's warming up already. Yes, you are.
All right, first of all, we've got to have a quick minute. I could not get over last week, and there was great pictures. And Emily, I know you weren't able to be here, but we want to get out there on social media. We want to get and highlight our friend Tux. Okay, Tux, his weight loss plan. Remember Big Tux? Tux has lost 10 pounds.
And looks great.
And his trust me, his belly doesn't drag the
That's
ground.
right.
Yes,
That's right.
Those pictures are great. Because
yes,
he
he's
is
running, which he did before, but now he seems to be a little faster. He's very active. He's enjoying life, which he did before. And he still has a good 20 pounds to go. I know. See, it doesn't take long. Once she knows she's safe, yeah, she's fine.
Right.
It's just we don't know what happened in her past, but once she knows she's okay and she can trust you, everything's good.
You know I love the pooches, don't you?
Yes, kiss,
yes,
kiss. She gives kisses.
Love the pooches.
Yeah. Give kiss. No.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. That's okay. Humane Society at BlueRidge.org. You're a beautiful lady. Yes, you are, Trixie. And don't forget, you can always go fyntv.com and check at the top, Pet of the Week. Check out Tux and his diet plan. Emily will get to working on that. We have videos there of Tux, our friend. And fyntv.com. Pet of the Week. Check it out. Go to their website. Humane Society of BlueRidge.org. I keep looking at you because you're beautiful.
Give us a call, 706-632-4357, and we are at 171 Mineral Springs Road, just off of Asca, up from the dog park. So come on out and see if you can add a dog or a cat or a kitten to your family. And I'm telling you, Trixie's a good dog.
Also, come on up to North Georgia, Blue Ridge, Georgia, and visit us on this beautiful weekend. We will be back Monday morning, fyntv.com. I will see you 8 a.m. Monday morning. Emily, let's take it out of here.